the hell wants to be locked up in a country that doesn't respect its citizens? The Prime Minister makes a fool of himself every chance he gets. Healthcare is a joke, leading to the third leading cause of death is medical error, hospital error. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that one. Look it up, John Hopkins study. Censorship is getting worse and worse in Canada, and nobody can afford shit. So what can you do about it? Leave the country, get the hell out? We're gonna discuss that in this video. Now, the Millennial and the Gen Z generation are two giant generations, and they're coming into the workforce, and the reality is they're going to be running the show in about 5 years. We are the next generation. We're going to be running everything. But it's getting harder and harder to be able to live in this country, to buy a home, especially to even pay for rent if you can't buy a home. Food is coming up, price of traveling, the price of buying cars, everything is costing so much more while wages aren't increasing at the same pace.
I am 27 years old now, full-time job. I worked really hard to get here, college degree, everything like that, financially responsible. And in 1 month, I'm gonna have to move out of my apartment because I can no longer afford it.
All to say, young people are getting very discouraged and don't have the same gleam in their eye that the boomers once had in 1985 to the 90s when they were coming up to the workforce and the Canadian American dream was still possible. It was alive and well. You know, dad could work at Canadian Tire or just a regular automotive job, a normal job, and afford to buy a 3-bedroom house with a garage. Mom could stay home and raise the kids. They could afford a nice car. Life was good. The Canadian dream was alive and well. It was possible.
I have a prime minister, not a president. I speak English and French, not American.
That's an absolute joke of a dream right now. Dad can't work at some average job and have mom stay home, raise the kids, buy a house. Are you kidding me? You almost need 3 to 4 incomes to buy a house, which is what we're seeing nowadays, is that couples can't buy, so they're buying houses with their friends, with their parents, and they're all living in the house. That's what we're gonna start seeing more and more of in Canada, just to be able to afford a mortgage. 2 people can't really afford a house anymore. Now, when you add this dark outlook of life and
can't progress and can't afford anything,
why don't we throw a recession right on top of it and see how you like that? So we're just getting beat down. Millennials, Gen Z, even boomers are just getting beat down. Nobody can afford anything anymore. Oh, I forgot one generation, Gen X. We always forget about them anyway. Everybody is struggling. Nobody's getting ahead. In fact, everybody's retracing backwards. What are we gonna do? Well, the reality is the pandemic created a huge interest in traveling, most likely getting away from Canada, going to warm places, and just seeing the world. We got paid a lot of money through stimulus. Everybody had a lot of money in their bank account. What do you do when you're an average citizen and your life is kind of tough? You go away. You go to Las Vegas, you go to Cuba, you go to Mexico, you see the world, you go to Europe. Now, with this traveling becoming the norm and working from home, working on Zoom, people thought, well, why do I have to live in Canada? It's getting tough to afford anything. The recession is definitely coming, especially now.
why am I even living there?
I can work in California. I get a job in California. I get a job in New York, in Texas, live there, work remotely, whatever. Why am I living in expensive Canada? And that's what we're seeing more and more of. I always talk on this channel about how we're seeing professionals leave Canada, doctors, dentists, lawyers, especially investors, builders, real estate people, especially are leaving this country to come do their jobs in America and make way more money, lower taxes, less regulation. But now we're seeing average people who are admins at some office, people who are land surveyors, whatever, just plumbers, carpenters. They're all leaving to go to America because why not? There's jobs are everywhere. They're plentiful. The price of housing is like a joke, right? The houses we're buying in Florida are 350 grand, 10 minutes from an ocean, 3-bed, 2-bath, detached garage with a pool in the backyard in sunny Florida. Are you kidding me? Properties we're buying in Texas, just outside of Houston, are 180 grand, 200 grand for the same house. The price of housing, the price of everything is just so much better in the US. And people with technology now, especially working from Zoom, like I said, they're getting more savvy. The average citizen is getting more savvy. It's one thing for a professional like me to take all my money out of Canada and start investing in America, but now we're seeing the average Joe do that, and that's a big problem. And the reason for this is that traveling, even as a Canadian, is less expensive than living in Canada in your apartment. Let me say that again. It's cheaper, especially if you go to Bali and you just rent an Airbnb or get a long-term rental. If you're working from Zoom anyway, what does it matter? Take your Canadian dollars, which do really well in Bali, in Indonesia, in India, in Thailand. Your money goes so far People are catching on to this life hacking of forget the Canadian dream of trying to kill myself 9 to 5. It's dark half of the year. Like I go to work, it's dark. I come home, it's dark. Life is so sad. Why don't I just take my laptop and I'll go park myself in Bali, in Thailand, and I'll still work for my same shitty boss, but I'll make the Canadian dollars, or ideally I make the USD dollars. You get a job in the US, living remotely. That's what we're seeing more and more of. Millennials and Gen Zs are more savvy, and they're not going to put up with the same shit that Gen X and Boomers did. Even though they had it way easier to progress your life and build wealth, they're not as stubborn or as, loyal to the country as those generations are. Millennials and Gen Zs are saying, fuck that. I'm sick of this.
I don't give a fuck.
I'm not going to get ahead. I did the thing. I got good grades. I went to college. I got my master's degree, and I'm working at a low-level internship job. I'm an admin at an office with a master's degree, okay? We're seeing that over and over again. People are done with the game, and they want to create their own game.
I love this city. I used to live in this city, and most recently, I was even considering potentially moving back. But after spending the last 2 months seeing the very drastic changes that have taken place in Toronto, I am sad to say that Toronto has changed, and not for the better.
Canada is pretty much a 3-star hotel charging 5-star prices. That's kind
I don't see my future in Canada.
So let me know in the comments below, is this you? Are you kind of seeing the same things with people around you? And also, if you want to progress your life and build wealth and invest in real estate, probably not going to be able to happen in Canada. I got you, bro. Check out my course below where I teach you as a Canadian how to invest in the United States, totally free. The course is free. I ain't charging you nothing, but I'm going to tell you everything from A to Z on how to invest in real estate as a Canadian. It's way easier than you think. So if you want to build some serious wealth, still invest in real estate because you understand that real estate is the best way to build wealth. And if you want to live in Bali while making that USD cash flow on that real estate, okay, get that course below. It's time to take your life to the next level. You don't have to live in Canada. You don't have to live a sad life. Even if you do want to stay in Canada, it's time to level up and live the life that you want to live. I'll see you in the next video.